From China to Kenya to Brazil, heavy rainfall has killed hundreds of people in recent weeks, with one Brazilian province effectively cut off.
The water just keeps on rising. As far as the eye can see, a cityscape submerged under the brown floodwater. Authorities say this is the worst climate disaster to ever hit southern Brazil, and it's easy to see why. In Porto Alegre, streets and avenues are inundated, with the city's iconic buildings surrounded. Even the airport is an expanse of water, a vital link cut off from the outside world. Everywhere you look, it is utter devastation. More than 150,000 people have been displaced. Many of them had to be rescued in makeshift boats. This area is now without fresh drinking water, electricity, and there are dwindling supplies of food.
It's been very sad to see people desolate, not knowing exactly where to go, walking with no direction, not knowing which way to go, without contact because there's no power, no communication, no cell phone signal.
The Brazilian government is describing this environmental catastrophe as a warlike situation, an emergency made worse by man-made climate change and a more unpredictable weather system.
But not in a proportion of we have seen. We never had this volume of water.
These satellite pictures show the extent of the damage. Rows of homes in a residential street before and after the deluge started. In some places, the floods are receding, but what people are returning to is heartbreaking. These communities have been ripped apart by the powerful torrential rains. And there's no sign this suffering will end anytime soon. Forecasters are warning the flooding will spread as more heavy storms are on their way.
And scientists say the temperatures will keep on rising. Last month was the hottest ever on record. America's Great Plains are used to tornadoes. Last month has seen a swarm of twisters, at least 300 of them, leave a trail of destruction across states like Oklahoma and Nebraska, and more expected this week. Well, that footage was filmed by storm chaser and my radio meteorologist, Matthew Carpucci, who's tracking a tornado in Oklahoma. Matthew, thanks so much for joining us. As we said, you're tracking a tornado at the moment. You're in your car to do that. Just tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, most definitely. So I work as a meteorologist, a weather forecaster, and I track these large-scale weather systems that can produce tornadoes, these little violent columns of air that move across the landscape. Right now, however, the overarching weather environment is again favorable for more tornadoes in the hard-hit beleaguered states of Oklahoma, Arkansas, parts of Nebraska, down towards Missouri once again. We already saw a deadly tornado in northeast Oklahoma with winds almost 300 kilometers per hour barely 72 hours ago, and Oklahoma is once again at risk today. We tend to see a lot of these storms in the spring months, April, May, and especially into June, as the buildup of summer warmth meets cold air left in the upper atmosphere. That brews thunderstorms. But that's just one part of the equation. We also need a change of wind speed and direction with height called wind shear to get these storms to spin. And today, all those ingredients look to overlap to cause more tornadoes. So we've seen a lot more tornadoes. Part of it is that we're noticing more, but part of it is really that it was just a very active month. We had repeated insurgences of cold air kicking up warmth and moisture to brew storms. The jet stream pattern, the upper level winds were very favorable. And part of it, too, in addition to tornadoes, we saw widespread hurricane force winds hail to about baseball, softball size. In fact, when I chase these storms, I'm used to breaking windshields, breaking the windows in my car. I even have special safety glasses and a special helmet that we use. Of course, we stream it all live in the My Radar app to try to get people aware of what's going on and give them advanced warning. The National Weather Service issues warnings as well. But really, with weather like this, people have to stay on their toes.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, and it's extremely dangerous as well. I was just talking to our, weather reporter, and she was saying we're not quite exactly sure whether tornadoes, for example, are a result of climate change. But can you shed any more light on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's a very nuanced approach we have to take because we know that the environment is getting warmer and more moist. Warm air holds more water. In fact, every degree Celsius the air temperature increases, the air can hold about 7% more water. So we have more juice for these storms to get going. But the issue is, even if we get more storms, that doesn't guarantee more tornadoes because the upper level winds in the atmosphere are actually weakening a little bit thanks to climate change.
We've known for several years about the impact of climate change, that the Earth and its oceans are getting warmer, and that unless we reduce harmful greenhouse gases and change our daily lives, things will only get worse. But we're now used to these images. A powerful tornado in Nebraska, one of 300 to tear through the American Midwest in the past month. Or this, the aftermath of severe flooding in Burundi and across East Africa, which has left hundreds of people dead or tens of thousands displaced. Southern Asia is baking in the extreme heat. That's, as scientists confirmed last month, was the hottest ever on record. But here's the thing, despite all of this, these pictures that suggest the end of days, some governments, including here in the UK, are rowing back on their green pledges.